How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World is the third and final installment into the How to Train Your Dragon series. And this film once again follows Hiccup, who is now the chief of Berk, and he must embark on a mission with Toothless to find the hidden world of the dragons in order to escape the evil Grimmel, a ruthless dragon hunter who is looking to kill the last of the Night Furies. I feel that this series has been kind of silently really solid for the past 10 years or so. Each installment into this series so far has been really enjoyable, so much so that each prior film has earned an Oscar nomination for Best Animated Feature. And I do think fans of this series are really going to enjoy The Hidden World. This film takes characters in new and exciting directions and is still driven by the beating heart at the center of each of these films. I know personally my favorite things about these movies is Hiccup, and with that his relationship with Toothless and Astrid, and of course the village as a whole. And How to Train Your Dragon 2 left Hiccup in a really interesting position, now being the chief of Berk. And I've got to say, I loved the direction that they took his character with this film. And seeing how this movie does end and comparing Hiccup to how he was at the beginning of the first film, it's great to see his character arc in its entirety and how much he has grown and developed. In addition to that, much like the other films in this series, this movie is animated beautifully. This is a wonderfully crafted film. This movie has this nice contrast of vibrancy and bleakness to its environment. The character models too have this great sense of realism and tangibility to them. And it is because this film is animated so beautifully that the score is such a nice companion piece to some of these more visceral and intense battle sequences. However, where this film does falter a bit is where some of the other films in this series stumble too, and that is in this movie's pacing, its supporting characters, as well as the villain of this film. This movie does not have this very clear sense of escalation. Instead, this movie is done in a way that just feels like a sequence of events following one another with no real buildup or ratcheting of stakes, all of which kind of builds to this climax that doesn't really arrive in a very natural way, in a way that feels very cohesive. In addition to that, like the other films in this series, I found the supporting characters of this movie to be rather irritating. Especially so because in this film it is a plot point that one of the characters is as irritating as they are, so that as an audience member, that tells me that the filmmakers are aware that this character is irritating. Despite that, they give these characters a much larger role in this film. And if that isn't bad enough, most of the humor that comes in this film is delivered by those characters, which needless to say didn't really work for me. And much like How to Train Your Dragon 2, I thought the villains of this film were pretty weak. The series has a knack of introducing villains in a very similar way. Someone is introduced usually as being the best at what they do, and Hiccup probably hasn't heard of who they are until someone much more experienced tells him about them and tells him why he should be so nervous and scared of them. And in this film, the villain is the world's best dragon hunter, which in a movie about dragons, having a villain whose motivation is just to kill dragons is rather predictable and kind of bland. Especially so considering in this film, this villain once again uses a mind-controlling device of sorts to control the dragons and make them act in a more aggressive way, which we have seen in every film in this series. But with all that being said, I still did enjoy How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. I think where not only this film, but this series shines is when it focuses on these characters that are central to its story and gives them time to grow and develop. But where this film falls short, and is where I believe the others have as well, is with this film's pacing, in its villains, as well as its supporting characters. So did you guys see How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World? What did you think about it? Leave your thoughts and opinions down below. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you liked today's video, and if you did, you can click on the link down below and subscribe to my channel to see more movie reviews and movie related things. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.